Hey sis, welcome back to the channel. I'm Rachel Abiodun and I talk all things hormonal health. So if you have fibroids, endometriosis, thyroid conditions, thyroid issues, this channel is for you. Now, as you can see, we are in my kitchen today because we are talking about food and how some of the things that we eat may be worsening our symptoms. And specifically, we are talking about stock cubes. I've been using these since I've been a baby. My mum cooks with them. I adopted or inherited them into my cooking, and I've been loving them for years. But this morning, for some reason, I decided to have a look at the ingredients and I wasn't impressed. I wasn't impressed at all. Now, the ingredient list of these stock cubes isn't that long. So you may think that these are pretty healthy, especially if you buy ones like this, which says less salt, 25% less salt. So I've been deceived, admittedly. I thought these were quite healthy for me, but I'm realizing that these are highly processed foods. And also a lot of the ingredients that are in these stock cubes are not conducive to our hormonal health. So let's dive into what is actually in a lot of these stock cubes and how these things may be worsening our fibroids, endometriosis, and thyroid disorders. So when I look at the ingredient list, I can see that stock cubes have salt added to them. Now, too much salt can cause bloating and lots of water retention. This is not good if you experience endobelly and if you experience pelvic pain and pressure due to endometriosis or fibroids. It can also raise our blood pressure and our inflammation. Again, really bad news for endometriosis and fibroids. So that is the first red flag for me. Secondly, on this ingredient list, I can see wheat flour. And we all know what wheat means: gluten. Now, wheat flour is high in refined carbohydrates, so that actually raises our blood sugar and spikes our insulin. This increases estrogen production and systemic inflammation, which worsens the symptoms of fibroids and endometriosis. Also, many people with thyroid issues such as hypothyroidism or Hashimoto's, they are gluten sensitive. So hidden gluten in our diet from things like stock cubes can actually trigger autoimmune flares, and that is something that we totally don't want. Let's continue down the list. So I can see glucose syrup on both of these ingredients, so both the vegetable and the chicken stock cube. Now, glucose syrup is literally pure sugar. It raises our insulin, which leads to insulin resistance, which leads to estrogen dominance. We know that estrogen dominance fuels fibroids and endometriosis growth, and increased insulin levels puts a strain on our liver, which impacts the ability of our liver to actually detox excess estrogen and other hormones and toxins from the body. Now, those of us with already compromised hormonal systems, we don't need additional strain being put on our liver. So this is really worrying. And talking about sugar, I can see that added sugar is in these ingredient lists. Now, added sugar promotes things like chronic inflammation, hormonal imbalances, and insulin spikes, all things that contribute to estrogen dominance and the growth of fibroids and endometriosis. Added sugar also suppresses the immune system and it contributes to the excess strain and load that is placed on our liver, also weakening our liver's ability to detox a lot of that excess estrogen that is in our body already. I don't want this video to sound really negative, but I think this really just proves how important it is for us to start looking at the ingredient list of the foods that we eat and start researching what actually is in these products. What do these things mean and how do they impact our hormonal health? Another thing that I can see on these ingredients is MSG. You've probably heard of it before and how it's really bad and often used in takeaways by a lot of the fast food places we go to. So I was quite surprised to see that MSG is actually in things that many of us use for our home cooking. MSG is essentially flavour enhancers, but it actually messes with our nervous system and causes inflammation. Major no-nos if we're already experiencing chronic pain and fatigue. MSGs and other flavour enhancers can also disrupt our gut health and trigger immune responses, potentially aggravating autoimmune thyroid conditions. And if that isn't bad enough, MSG also contains hidden endocrine disruptors that mimic estrogen in our body and can further lead to estrogen dominance. So that's really bad. That's super concerning for me. And I can also see, in addition to the MSG, that there are some other artificial flavorings in these. So yeah, I'm super worried right now. So I'm just looking at the rest of the ingredients in here, and I guess two more things stand out to me. So I can see potato starch in the chicken flavour. Actually, I can also see it in the vegetable one as well. So they both contain potato starch. And what we know about potato starch is that it's a refined carbohydrate. So it literally turns into glucose in the body and raises our blood sugar. It can therefore contribute to insulin resistance and affect our gut health if it's not paired with fiber or prebiotics. So a lot of things we need to consider when simply just using stock cubes in our cooking. The last thing I'll call out is colour. So this has some artificial colourings in it. Ammonia caramel is in the chicken one. The vegetable one doesn't seem to have colouring added to it. But yeah, because it's in this chicken one, let's also quickly discuss it. Now, colorings such as ammonia caramel, they contain compounds that have been linked to cancer and inflammation. Plus, it also puts extra stress on the liver, thereby reducing our liver's ability to detox a lot of that excess estrogen and toxins from our body. And again, that just spells really bad news for fibroids, endometriosis, etc. Plus, there's also some evidence that caramel colorings also can interfere with our thyroid function. So, from all fronts, these ingredients are extremely concerning. Okay, so let's switch things up and focus on the positives, focus on constructive information. What can we do instead of using a lot of these highly processed stock cubes? Well, number one, I don't know if you can see, but we can switch these stock cubes for lots of herbal seasonings. We can actually add a lot of flavour to our foods by using natural herbs and spices such as thyme, turmeric, garlic, ginger, bay leaves, sea salt. There's so much that we can do without having to use those artificial and highly processed stock cubes. So have a go, go to the store and just look at the dried herbs, the seasonings, the spices they have, and add those to your pantry. What you can also do as well is switch to more cleaner brands, more cleaner stock cubes. Now, these are ones that I happen to also have. As you can see, they are gluten-free. So they don't contain the wheat flour, the wheat that, contributes to more inflammation in our gut, in our body. And the ingredient list, although not perfect, is much better than some of the other brands that are not as clean. So if I just have a quick look at these ones, they both contain added salt, but they also contain things like onion powder, dried carrot, tomato powder, leek, celery, parsley, a lot of good things. Now again, the ingredient list is not perfect. I can see added sugar in here. I can see natural flavorings. We don't know what that means. So this is like option B. If you can't be bothered to buy a whole range of your own herbs and spices, look for cleaner brands that don't contain gluten, that purport to not have artificial colours or flavourings or preservatives in them, and maybe switch to these kind of brands. But ultimately, option A really is to start using a lot of our own herbs and spices and using those in our stir fries, in our soups, in our broths, etc. So we can really see just how important it is to start looking at the ingredient list of the things we buy from the store, especially if they're things that we are used to buying just by default. We've been buying and using them for years. Perhaps it's time to second look at these ingredient lists and just check if they contain things that are inflammatory, that spike our insulin levels, that can further lead to things like endobelly, pelvic pain and pressure, and all of the things that we struggle with endometriosis and fibroids, etc. No one else is going to do this for us, so we really have to take the responsibility of checking the ingredient list of things that we buy and eat ourselves. And I hope that this video inspired you to do just that. So start off small, check one thing and then the next thing and then the next thing, and then before you know it, you'll have a much cleaner pantry. If you enjoyed this video and want to see more content about how we can support our hormonal health naturally, definitely subscribe to the channel, leave your comments or any questions down below, and I will see you in the next one. Take care.